I'm going to do an unboxing of a power supply that I bought for this computer build that I'm putting together. Uh, I wanted right now, as you can know, I'm a bit of a middle-aged gamer, and I play video games, mostly on Steam with my current computer. It's a Dell 8700. It's like from 2015, and it does have a graphics card in it. It's a what is it? It's an Radeon R270, which is okay graphics card for its time. It's kind of mid lower level type of card, but it is 4K capable, and I like gaming in 4K. Uh, but on the AAA games, sometimes they won't run enough to even play, like uh, Grand Theft Auto 5 or the latest Batman video game. And some will run just fine in 4K. I can get 40, 50, 60 frames a second, which is fine by me. But I wanted a top of the line rig where I could really game with anything, no questions asked, in 4K, highest settings. So I decided. Well, first I looked at all the available pre-made computers out there, and I looked at Alienware and Origin, stuff like that, and those are okay. And they're probably not all that terribly expensive for for the components that you get compared to building something yourself. But I just wasn't totally happy with those. You know, I didn't totally happy with the designs aesthetically, and they were a little too plasticky, and especially the Alienware stuff. So there's tons of tutorial videos on YouTube uh, where you can that teach you how to assemble your own rig. There's tons of them on there. The gaming community, the tech community on YouTube is probably one of the largest communities on YouTube. So I thought I would have a go at it myself, and so I started buying all these parts in preparation to actually put it together. And so far, I'll show you what I got. I got the motherboard, which is a pretty high-end motherboard. It's the Aorus Extreme. I kind of spec this out. I'm planning to spec it out. I'm planning on go as high-end as I can without getting crazy. Uh, you know, so I got this motherboard. It handles the latest Intel chips. I plan on getting an i9 chip, i9 9700K, I think it is. That's the last thing I haven't got. I still need to get that, but I think I have just about everything else. So I have the motherboard. I have this power supply, which I'll tell you about in a second, which I'm going to unbox. I do have my GPU. It's a 2080 Ti EVGA, whatever, 3-fan model. And this is it here. This thing is heavy, man. But I'm going to give you a little peek of it. I'm trying to do this on my iPhone, so I'm holding my phone with one hand and kind of trying to do this other stuff with my other hand. But you can see it there. You can look online and see what they look like. But it's a big card. It's 3 slots. So it's about the best card you can get, graphics card wise, without going to the Titan. And I got this case, which is the Fantex Evolve X, I believe it is. Yeah, here's the brochure manual thing. But it's a very nice case. It's metal. It's all aluminum. It's got the tempered glass doors on each side. I haven't taken this plastic off, but I'll actually take these doors off when I actually start building. I did do one thing. I put in the AIO CPU cooler, the Corsair. You can see it in there. I'll shine the flashlight on it, but probably see it up here. It's a 3-fan model. So I did get that installed, but I can't do anything else until I get this motherboard prepped with the CPU and the RAM. But I think this case is pretty neat. It seems to be pretty intelligently put together, thought out in terms of cable management, and where everything is. It does have some RGB in it. It has like an RGB line that goes across here. And then when you put the cover on this front, a metal cover, it has some RGB on the edges. It's not crazy RGB, but it's pretty neat. I like RGB, but I don't like, you know, crazy disco light up your room type of RGB. I like a little more subtle. So most of my components are RGB, but one thing I don't like is RGB fans. I just don't like them aesthetically. I just think they look a little gaudy. So I'm just going to replace these fans that are in here now with some Corsair maglev fans that I got. I'll show you the other parts that I do have. They're in a box down here. But here are all those fans. I'll have 3 fans for the intake in the front. And then I got one 140 fan for the exhaust. This is my RAM. I got 64 gigs of RAM. This Dominator Platinum, which is really neat. And I took one of these out before, and they're extremely well made. They're all metal, and each one probably weighs a pound. It's some heavy duty RAM, and it's got this RGB effect on the edges. It's pretty cool. If you want to look it up on YouTube, there's some videos of it. This is an M.2 drive that I'll use as my boot drive. It's 500 gigs, I think. And I got this lighting node Pro for some lighting effects. It's supposed to be able to manage all your RGBs and together in kind of one unit type of thing for your fans and your water cooler AIO unit. And I got some cables, some, you know, a little nicer looking cables for just aesthetic purposes. These are fairly cheap, but they got a ton of great reviews on Amazon. They're nylon. I got the kind of combination blue, black, gray. What else I got here? This is a brace for my GPU. That GPU, the 2080 Ti, weighs a ton, so I didn't want it to be sagging. So I got this brace. It's like a metal brace that goes under the GPU and kind of keeps it from sagging if that were to happen. And again, it's very cheap. It was like $10, but they got a lot of great reviews on Amazon. I like the way it looked. I think pull it out here so you can see. It's the blue up here brace. See it here. That goes right under your GPU. And it should kind of go with the cables I got, which are also bluish. What else? That's about it, I think. This is a hard drive storage to store all my games. It's 4 terabits. It's like a 54 RPM, mechanical drive. I didn't want to get SSD. I just didn't feel like it was needed as far as just storing games. This is going to be strictly a gaming computer, and I got about over 300 games on Steam, and I think it's over 2 terabytes, just those games. I think it's close to 3 terabytes. So this should be enough. I don't plan on buying any games soon. Once in a while when a AAA game comes out, I'll buy it, but I've got all the games I'm pretty happy with for the near future. And I just didn't feel like spending a ton of dough on an SSD, a 4 or 5 terabyte SSD. My games run fast enough. You might have to wait a second or two for them to load, but that's fine with me. As long as the boot drive is an SSD, that's all I really care about. Then I got this Commander Pro unit from another Corsair unit. And this is to control your fan speeds mostly, to kind of synchronize all your fan speeds. And so I got that. And I believe that's it. Like I said, I just have to get my GPU. What's this? This is thermal paste to slap down my AIO onto my CPU. Make sure it's got a good connection there. Use a little thermal paste. Yeah, that's it. I just got to get my CPU, which again, as far as I can, I think I've decided I'm going to get the i9 9700. I know they run a little bit hot, but that's fine. I should be able to cool it well enough with this Corsair 3-fan cooler. And so let me open this now. I looked at a lot of different power supplies, and you know, a power supply is kind of a power supply. As long as they last, I think they're good. And they, you know, but so I was kind of like, well, which one do I get? And on this case I chose, I'll shine the flashlight on it. You can see there's a little window down there on this Fantex case, this Evolve X case, where it allows you to show off your power supply. I guess that's what they made it for. If you're proud of your rig and you want to show off every little component in there, you know, why not show off your power supply too? So I guess they cut a little window in the metal down there so you can see it. But I thought, well, what's the use of seeing it if it's just a plain old power supply with a, you know, serial number or a brand name on the side of it? Big deal. So I looked into this one, and it's an RGB. It has RGB on the side there. You can see it where it kind of lights up. You know, you can choose whatever color you want, and it has a few little effects you can do. And I thought that was pretty neat. I thought it would fit, you know, perfect in that little window on this Fantex case. And it's kind of the only power supply I saw with RGB like this. I know Asus makes a power supply that has an LED meter on the side telling you how much power you're drawing actually. And that's fine, but I decided to go for this one. And I think it might be kind of a new model too, because I looked on Amazon. I didn't see it on there. This is the PF1 ARGB 1200 watts. And I looked on Newegg and I didn't see it on there either. And I think it might be kind of a new model they put out. I'm not sure. But so I had to go to the company website and order it from there. But let's take it out and see what it looks like. I already took the outer plastic off. But this is a manual. We got that. We got, my wife's playing the piano upstairs, so it's nice we have a little music going on. But this is a power cord. We got that. And what is it? These must be all my cables. Let's see. What is this? Oh, yeah, these are all cables. It comes in a nice little nylon pouch here with some Velcro flap. I don't know why they put it in here. You're only going to use these cables once, hopefully, but I guess it's nice to have otherwise. But yeah, these are all your cables. There's a ton of them in here, that's for sure. Kind of intimidating. I think that might be the hardest part of my build, is learning how to connect all this stuff. You know, installing it in the computer, I think it's fairly straightforward if you follow all the tutorial videos, but connecting all this stuff into the motherboard is another story. But okay, here is the power supply. It's wrapped in a cloth here, and there it is. I'm trying to do this one-handed again, and there it is. Yeah, we got this will light up with the RGB on the side. So yeah, it's big, it's heavy. I think the RGB lights up this fan too. And I don't know if I told you, I don't like RGB fans. I think they look kind of gaudy. But I don't think you'll be able to see this. I think, you know, it has this plate over the top of it, so I don't think you'll be able to see that, but you will definitely be able to see the side of it here. It'll light up, and that'll be pretty cool, I think. So you got your mode for your RGB and your color mode buttons here. I'm not sure if you can also control this from the motherboard. Probably can, but yeah. There's the bottom. This is the Toughpower PF1 ARGB 1200 watt. I probably don't need 1200 watts, you know, but they make an 850 watt model too, and I think the 1200 watts is like $30 more or something like that than the 800 watt. So I figure, what the heck, I'll just get it. And there you go. So, like I said, I think I'll be all right as far as assembling this rig. As far as, you know, I can follow everything on YouTube, and this is the first time I've done this, if you haven't guessed already. But I think I should be okay. Like I said, I think the hardest part is going to be with the connections, learning how to connect everything, and also with the BIOS. I've never done anything with BIOS before, you know, where you initially go in and do all the settings for everything. But again, the tech community on YouTube is huge. I think it's one of the largest communities on YouTube, and there's just tons of tutorial videos of how to do a lot of this stuff. But we'll see how it goes. I think I'll make a video here and there once I finish, and I'll show you it. Hopefully it'll work, and we'll be set to go.